Lonely fisherwoman rescues mysterious girl from the beach and discovers an unbelievable connection. Mary lived a quiet, solitary life in the small coastal town of Harborview. At 35, she had become a fixture of the community, known for her dedication to the sea. Her father, a seasoned fisherman, had taught her everything she knew before he passed away when she was still a young girl. Each morning, Mary would rise before dawn, her calloused hands expertly handling the nets as she prepared her boat for another day on the water. The salty air and the rhythmic sound of the waves were as familiar to her as her own heartbeat. Despite her skill and the respect she earned from her fellow townsfolk, Mary couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness that clung to her. The sea was her livelihood, but it was also a constant reminder of what she had lost. Her father had been her guiding star, and without him, she often felt adrift. The camaraderie of the other fishermen and the bustling activity of the docks brought her some comfort, yet there was an undeniable void in her heart. In the evenings, after the day's catch was sold and the boat was secured, Mary would walk the length of the beach, her boots leaving solitary tracks in the sand. The horizon stretched endlessly before her, a vast, open expanse that mirrored the emptiness she felt inside. She watched the sun dip below the water's edge, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, but the beauty of the scene often went unnoticed as she wrestled with her own thoughts. The solitude of these moments weighed heavily on her, a stark contrast to the bustling life of the docks. Mary's cottage, nestled close to the shore, was a cozy refuge but also a silent reminder of her solitude. The walls were adorned with photographs of her father and the many fish they had caught together. His old fishing gear, meticulously maintained, occupied a corner of the small living room. The memories were a comfort, but they also deepened her sense of isolation. Each item was a relic of a life that felt distant, a connection to a time when she hadn't felt so alone. The townspeople admired Mary for her resilience and her unwavering dedication to her work. They saw her as a strong, independent woman, someone who had faced hardship and emerged stronger. Yet, behind the stoic facade, Mary longed for something more. The conversations she had at the market, the friendly nods and smiles from her neighbors, all felt superficial. They didn't understand the depth of her loneliness, the way the sea echoed the emptiness she carried within her. As she lay in bed each night, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore outside her window, Mary often found herself staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. She wondered if there was more to life than the routine she had grown accustomed to. The sea, vast and mysterious, held many secrets, but it also seemed to mirror her own feelings of isolation. She yearned for a connection, something or someone to fill the void that had settled in her heart. But for now, all she had was the sea and the memories of her father, guiding her through the lonely nights. Mary's sense of incompleteness was deeply rooted in the mysterious disappearance of her younger sister, Sarah. 5 years ago, Sarah had set off on a backpacking trip through South America, full of excitement and dreams of adventure. Mary remembered the day vividly. Sarah's eyes sparkled with anticipation as she hugged Mary goodbye, promising to return with stories and souvenirs. But that return never came. Weeks turned into months, and then years, with no word from Sarah. The uncertainty of her fate was a constant ache in Mary's heart. The bond between the sisters had always been strong. Sarah was the more adventurous of the two, with a free spirit that complemented Mary's steadier nature. They had shared countless memories, from childhood games by the beach to late-night conversations about their dreams and fears. Losing Sarah felt like losing a part of herself. Mary often found herself replaying their last moments together, searching for any clues she might have missed. She clung to the hope that somewhere, somehow, Sarah was still out there, waiting to be found. Mary's determination to find her sister never wavered. She spent countless hours researching, contacting authorities, and reaching out to anyone who might have seen Sarah. Her small cottage became a headquarters for her search efforts, with maps, notes, and photographs covering the walls. Every lead, no matter how small, was meticulously followed up. The townsfolk admired her persistence, though many privately believed that Sarah was gone for good. But Mary refused to give up hope. The idea of closure without knowing the truth was unbearable. Every anniversary of Sarah's disappearance was a particularly hard day for Mary. She would visit the last place Sarah had written from, a remote village in the mountains of Peru, in her mind. Mary had traveled there once, speaking with locals and searching for any trace of her sister. Though she returned empty-handed, the journey only strengthened her resolve. "I'll find you, Sarah," she would whisper to the photograph of her sister that she kept by her bedside. It was this unwavering hope that drove Mary forward, even on the darkest days. Her love for Sarah was a beacon, guiding her through the fog of uncertainty and sorrow. One stormy night, the wind howled through Harborview, rattling windows and shaking the trees. Mary was used to the fierce weather, but something about this storm felt different. As she secured her boat, ensuring it was safe from the raging sea, she spotted a figure lying on the beach, motionless. Her heart raced as she ran towards the stranger, her boots sinking into the wet sand. The closer she got, the more she could make out. It was a young woman, drenched and unconscious. Mary didn't hesitate. She scooped the girl up and carried her to the safety of her cottage. Inside, Mary laid the girl on the couch and wrapped her in warm blankets. She stoked the fire, hoping the heat would bring some color back to the stranger's pale face. It wasn't long before the young woman began to stir, her eyes fluttering open. "Where am I?" she asked weakly, her voice barely audible over the sound of the storm outside. "You're safe," Mary assured her, offering a gentle smile. "I'm Mary. What's your name?" The girl blinked a few times before answering, "Emma. My name is Emma." Over the next few days, Emma recovered under Mary's care. As she regained her strength, she began to share her story. "I was looking for my mother," Emma explained one evening, as they sat by the fire. "She disappeared years ago, and I've been following clues along the coast." Mary's heart ached at the familiar tale of loss and desperation. She felt an immediate connection to Emma, her own search for Sarah echoing in Emma's quest for her mother. "I'll help you," Mary said firmly. "We'll find her together." With a newfound sense of purpose, Mary and Emma set out on their journey. They traveled to nearby coastal towns, following leads and speaking with anyone who might have seen Emma's mother. The journey was fraught with challenges from the start. They navigated treacherous waters and braved dangerous roads, driven by the hope of finding answers. Along the way, they encountered shady characters who tried to deceive them, but their resolve never wavered. Mary's experience as a fisherwoman proved invaluable, as she guided them through rough seas and helped them avoid potential dangers. As the weeks turned into months, their bond grew stronger. They shared stories of their loved ones, their hopes, and their fears. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, they sat by the campfire, exhausted but hopeful. "Do you ever think we'll find them?" Emma asked, her voice tinged with doubt. Mary looked at her, seeing the same determination that had driven her all these years. "I believe we will," she said softly. "And even if we don't, we'll know we tried our best. That's all we can do." Their journey took an unexpected turn when they arrived in a small, bustling port town. There, they met an elderly woman who claimed to have known Emma's mother. "She was here with another young woman about 5 years ago," the woman said, her eyes distant with memory. "They were on a mission, helping people. They talked about heading south, to a remote village." Mary's heart skipped a beat at the mention of the timeline. Could it be Sarah? This revelation reignited their hope, and they set off with renewed vigor, determined to follow this new lead to its end. While investigating further, Mary and Emma arrived in a remote coastal village, following the elderly woman's lead. The village was small and quiet, with a sense of isolation that was both comforting and eerie. They asked around, showing pictures of Emma's mother and Sarah, hoping someone might recognize them. Days turned into weeks with no significant leads. Just as their hope began to wane, a local shopkeeper mentioned something that caught Mary's attention. "I remember them," she said, pointing to Sarah's photo. "They were helping out at the clinic. Good-hearted women." With this information, Mary and Emma headed to the local clinic. The building was modest, but bustling with activity. They spoke with the doctor in charge, a kind man who remembered Sarah and Emma's mother. "They were here on a humanitarian mission," he explained. "They did a lot of good for this community." They left a strong impression on everyone they met. He paused, a sad look crossing his face. But they left suddenly, without a word. There were rumors of trouble, but nothing concrete. Mary felt a mix of relief and anxiety. Knowing that Sarah and Emma's mother had been there was a step closer to finding them, but the mention of trouble was unsettling. Emma, ever the optimist, focused on the positive. They were here, Mary. We're on the right track. Mary nodded, drawing strength from Emma's determination. We just need to keep pushing forward, she said, though her heart was heavy with worry. Their journey took a dark turn when they encountered a group of men who seemed too interested in their search. One evening, as they were returning to their inn, they were ambushed and captured. The men, part of a human trafficking ring, demanded to know why they were asking so many questions. We're just looking for our loved ones, Mary pleaded. The leader of the group sneered, Your loved ones got in our way. They paid the price for their meddling. The revelation hit Mary and Emma like a ton of bricks. Sarah and Emma's mother had been fighting against these very criminals, trying to protect others from their grasp. The knowledge that they had died heroes brought a twisted sense of pride and immense sorrow. But there was no time to grieve. Mary and Emma managed to escape during a moment of chaos, fighting their way out of the clutches of the traffickers. In the frantic escape, Emma was gravely injured. Mary, fueled by a mix of fear and determination, carried her friend through the dense forest back to the nearest town. She banged on the door of the local doctor's house, begging for help. Please, save her, she cried, tears streaming down her face. The doctor quickly took Emma in, working tirelessly to stabilize her condition. Mary sat by Emma's side, holding her hand and whispering words of encouragement. We're almost there, Emma. Hold on. You're not alone. Mary and Emma's dramatic escape and Emma's subsequent injury brought them back to the safety of their small coastal town. Emma's recovery was slow but steady, with Mary never leaving her side. The community of Harborview rallied around them, offering support and care. For Mary, this reconnection with her community was a reminder of the strength and compassion that had always surrounded her, even when she felt most alone. The townspeople listened to their story with rapt attention, their faces reflecting a mix of sorrow and admiration. As Emma began to heal, Mary found herself sharing more about Sarah and their childhood. The memories, once too painful to recount, now felt like a bridge to her sister. Sarah was always the brave one, Mary said one evening, as she and Emma sat by the fire. She had this way of making everyone feel like they were the most important person in the world. Emma, her face still pale but her eyes bright, smiled. She sounds incredible. It's no wonder she made such an impact wherever she went. The more they talked, the more Mary felt the weight of her grief lifting. She realized that by keeping Sarah's memory alive, she was honoring her sister's spirit. Emma's presence became a source of strength, her optimism and resilience a balm for Mary's wounds. They spent their days planning and their nights sharing stories, their bond deepening with each passing moment. The pain of their losses was still there, but it was now intertwined with a sense of purpose and hope. Inspired by Mary and Emma's courage, the people of Harborview decided to take action against the human trafficking issue that had brought so much pain to their town. They organized community meetings, set up a neighborhood watch, and collaborated with local authorities to increase vigilance. Mary and Emma were at the forefront of these efforts, using their harrowing experience to educate others. We can't let this happen to anyone else, Mary said passionately at one meeting. We need to protect each other and stand together. Mary and Emma's efforts didn't stop at Harborview. They began traveling to other coastal towns, sharing their story and helping to establish similar protective measures. Their work was met with both gratitude and resistance, but they remained undeterred. Each town they visited became part of a growing network of communities committed to fighting human trafficking. If we can save even one person, it's worth it, Emma would often say, her conviction inspiring those around her. Through their tireless work, Mary discovered that Sarah's legacy was far more profound than she had ever realized. Sarah had not only touched the lives of those she met directly, but had also inspired a movement that continued to grow. Mary and Emma's journey, born out of personal loss and tragedy, transformed into a mission of justice and compassion. Their bond, forged in the fires of adversity, became a beacon of hope for countless others. Mary no longer felt alone. She had found a new family in Emma and a renewed purpose in her life, turning her grief into a powerful force for good. Mary and Emma's efforts had sparked a wave of change in Harborview and beyond. As they traveled to other coastal towns, their message resonated with many, inspiring communities to band together against human trafficking. The network of vigilant towns grew stronger, and Mary and Emma became well-known figures in the fight. Their story of loss and resilience touched many hearts, and people began to look up to them as symbols of hope and determination. During one of their visits to a neighboring town, Mary and Emma were approached by a journalist who had heard about their work. "I'd love to tell your story," the journalist said, her eyes wide with admiration. "People need to hear what you've accomplished." Mary and Emma agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to raise even more awareness. The article, published in a major newspaper, brought their mission to the attention of a wider audience. Donations and offers of support poured in, allowing them to expand their efforts even further. Back in Harborview, Mary felt a sense of pride and fulfillment she hadn't known in years. The community had transformed, united in a common cause. One evening, as she and Emma walked along the beach, Mary reflected on how far they had come. "I never imagined we could make such a difference," she said, her voice filled with awe. Emma smiled, linking her arm with Mary's. "We did it together, Mary, and we'll keep going, for Sarah and for everyone else we've lost." Their work was not without its challenges. They faced threats from those who wanted to silence them and had to navigate bureaucratic hurdles to implement their programs. But Mary and Emma's bond only grew stronger in the face of adversity. They found joy in small victories and solace in each other's company. The sea, once a symbol of Mary's isolation, now represented the boundless possibilities of their mission. Every wave that crashed against the shore seemed to echo their resolve. Mary often thought of Sarah during quiet moments. She imagined her sister watching over them, proud of what they had achieved. The pain of Sarah's absence was still there, but it was now accompanied by a sense of peace. Mary had found a way to honor her sister's memory, turning her grief into a force for good. Emma, too, found healing in their work, her mother's legacy living on through the lives they touched. Together, they had built something beautiful out of their shared loss. As time passed, Mary and Emma's work continued to grow. They trained volunteers, spoke at conferences, and even influenced policy changes at the local and national levels. Their story became a beacon of hope, proving that even the deepest wounds could lead to profound healing and transformation. Mary, once a solitary fisherwoman haunted by her past, had found a new family and a new purpose. Emma, too, had discovered a path of meaning and fulfillment. Together, they faced the future with hope and determination, knowing that their journey, born out of loss, had become a mission of justice and compassion that would continue to inspire others for years to come.